Okay, so let's start with inhalation. What's probably the most important muscle for inhalation? The diaphragm. As we already explained. Now, when I'm inhaling and I'm really tired, are my ribs going up or going down? Are they elevated or depressed? They're elevated. That's when you kind of bring them up, and that's helping make the volume a little bit bigger. So the other ones we're going to look at are the rib elevators. So who do we have? Sternalis. Who else?
Posterior, superior.
Serratus, posterior, superior, and
External intercostals.
external intercostals. And then exhale would essentially be all the rest. Would you like me to write them down? Okay. So they're going to be your serratus, posterior, inferior, your internal intercostals, your innermost intercostals, your transversus thoraci, your subcostals, and would your longus coli be involved? No. Are you flexing your neck when you're breathing? No. So no, that would not be involved. Questions with that problem? That's a test problem. Okay. Sometimes Sir Mark likes to find pictures that aren't in your book. I hope I've blown this up big enough. So this is from, he really likes Netter, who's a famous guy who was a surgeon, and then he actually found that he earned more money by drawing anatomical pictures for pharmaceutical companies than he did doing surgeries. So he quit his surgery job and draws pictures. And now there is a new medical school in Connecticut named after him, specializing in primary care. So, does anybody know what we're looking at right here? Who will raise their hand and tell the class? Tina. Okay, well done. We're talking about the thorax today, but what part specifically? It is hypaxial musculature. Is it the posterior wall or the anterior wall? Posterior wall. So what do we see right here between the rib and this bone right here? Cartilage. Does cartilage connect the ribs to your vertebra? No. Where's the synchondrosis? To the sternum. So what are we looking at? The anterior. Is that what you guys said? Oh, I thought you said posterior. Well, I was just checking. So yeah, essentially all this is if you took a saw and went down the middle of me and you guys were looking at my sternum from the backside, right? So questions with what we're looking at orientation-wise? Is it clear? So of course we have, so this is going to be my right side, and this is going to be my left side. We have the clavicle up here, first rib, second rib, blah, blah, blah. And this is what bone? The sternum. So what is this muscle that's coming from the sternum up to the ribs called? Transversus thoracis. And what's it going to do when it contracts? Depress the ribs. As we move over, what are going to be these muscles in here? They go up and down. The innermost intercostals. You can actually, well, here's the interesting thing. These are going to be my internal intercostals, and this is my innermost intercostal. Can anybody tell me why I knew that? If they have their grain in the same direction. I know that because what do I have right here? I have the vein, artery, and nerve. And what does the vein, artery, and nerve always run through? middle and internal layer. So if I can see them right here, is the internal layer right here? No. There's no internal layer right here. You can see as they come down as the internal thoracic vessels, they're going to go and they go underneath, but really on top of these transversus thoracis, because this is the internal and this is the middle layer. So you can see those vessels and nerves are running in between the internal and the middle layer. Then for a moment there is no internal layer, so I can see the vessels and nerves. Does that make sense? And so I know that this is the internal intercostal. Once these vessels and nerves disappear under a muscle, what muscle is this then? It's from that internal layer, so it's my innermost intercostals. So this is the type of picture that would be on your test where lots of people would probably miss this. You're looking, and those vessels are always going to course between which two layers? Middle and internal layer. And that's where this power comes into hand. It's very clear to see that they're in between the middle and internal layer right here when they're branching off, right? And then we can see as they dive deep once the innermost intercostal starts. So this is internal intercostal, innermost intercostal. Question about that? No. So, I mean, maybe. There's a bunch of stuff. Pretty much all of Gray's Anatomy is online. If you Wikipedia anything, the pictures on Wikipedia are from Gray's Anatomy. I can't send this out due to copyright laws, but you can always buy an atlas. You can get old editions on the net, what's it called? Amazon for like 20 bucks. You don't need this to get an A. I did not have this and I got an A. So, it's cool. It's a great bathroom book. But, so you don't forget your anatomy. So what's this muscle that's been cut right here? The diaphragm. Again, what are these vessels going to be called? Very good. The internal thoracic artery and internal thoracic vein. As the internal thoracic artery and vein come and they branch and head sideways along the diaphragm, what do we call it? The musculophrenic artery and nerve. What do we call these nerves that are coursing in between the ribs? Intercostal nerves. And what are the arteries called? Not just anterior intercostals. We need more specific. Anterior or posterior? Anterior intercostal arteries and veins. Anything else I'm missing? I think that's it for importance. You don't need to know these muscles yet. Okay. Oh, by the way, the internal thoracic arteries come off of which arteries? Subclavian or brachiocephalic? Subclavian. The internal thoracic veins drain into the subclavian veins or the brachiocephalic veins? Brachiocephalic veins. That's where things aren't perfectly exactly the same. So that's another thing to note and remember. Okay. So were there any other questions with this picture? This was to show that middle and internal layer. So the internal layer is not present here because we see the vessels. Okay, now we get to do blood traces in the thoracic region. So we're just going from the heart to the tissue and back. You don't have to do the diffusional barrier. Just get to the artery that gets to the muscle, arterial, capillary,